to my channel. I know it's been some time since I dropped a video, but a sister has been working. For today, well, before I get started today, I definitely would love to say thank you for everyone who's been saying that my channel is helpful, who's either slid in my DMs on Instagram, that's the name below, or commented under the videos asking questions and just engaging with the content. I really appreciate it, and it makes me feel like I am being helpful, because I know when I was starting out, I was looking for people that were helpful. So I do hope that I could be that for you. For today, I want to kind of recap these last 2 months for me in particular. Woo! I am so happy. I am so excited today. Turn this down. Today, I got my second direct contract with the title company. Woo! Woo! A goal of mine was to go Escrow Direct, and I have accomplished that, and I'm super excited about that. For the newer notaries, or newer loan signing agents, I should say, you may hear the term Escrow Direct a lot. And you may or may not know what that means. I didn't know what it meant before I started, but I am very familiar with it now and have been for the past couple of months, because that's what I've been working toward. Now, when you're going Escrow Direct, that means you are working directly with title companies or escrow officers who are giving you leads, right? Like, they have clients and they are calling you to be the notary to execute the signing. And it's a positive for many, many reasons. And today I want to hop into those specifics of what those reasons are. So stay tuned. All right, so the term Escrow Direct, I mentioned it earlier, and it has many benefits. It's a difficult thing to do, I cannot lie. It takes some work and some effort on your end to really network with those folks, put yourself in those spaces, and really don't take no for an answer, right? Like, I'll give you guys my experience with going Escrow Direct, and it was nerve-wracking. I was nervous at first because if you've watched my previous videos, you guys would know that I don't have a real estate background. I was fairly new to even understanding what a notary was. I'll be commissioned for a year, and oh wow, I've been commissioned for a year already. Oh my goodness. And I just don't live in those worlds and navigate in those spaces. But for people who do, it makes it a little easier for someone to either make a connection to you or refer you to someone, whether it's a real estate agent, someone who works in escrow, whether it's a closing agent. Like, you never know the different sort of positions you could hold in the world of real estate. I didn't have any of that, so it was challenging for me because I really started marketing from ground zero. One of the biggest things that I took away from my training program, which was Bill Soroka's Sign and Thrive, the notary coach, was understanding how important it was to separate yourself from other notaries when you're marketing. And the other thing I came to realize was, these are people just like you, right? Like, I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in trying to please other people, or get so nervous when we are meeting new people that hold titles and positions, who work in industries that we may not be as familiar with. Sometimes I think we get so nervous and forget, like, these people are people too, just like me. I put on my pants, I put on my shirt, I do my hair, brush my teeth, and I go to work and they do the same thing. So really having that confidence when walking and talking with these people is key, because they can pick up on things like that. But going backward, when I decided that I was ready was about 6 months into me being commissioned. And I did not have any Escrow Direct contracts at 6 months, but for me, that's when I felt really comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm going to start working toward that. And it took me a while to get there. I recently only was able to gain 2 Escrow Direct contracts, but that period for me in 6 months, I felt more comfortable with the documents. I did not have to stress if I got documents the day of, right? Because I wouldn't have enough chance to review them and prep and sticky note here, go over my script, like, etc. When I hit 6 months, for me, that was when I was like, okay, I can do this thing. And working with escrow and title companies, that is key, because they expect for you to know what the heck you're doing. Oftentimes they want to feel comfortable and confident that you are a reflection of their company, of the service, of the experience. You are engulfed into that whole process for the client. And if you don't know what you're doing, that contributes to their entire closing experience. So they're looking for people that are experienced and know what the heck they're doing. Some title companies even require you to have a minimum amount of time as being commissioned. For example, there was a title company that I was working on building a relationship with, and it was awesome. I actually knew this person through someone else, so it wasn't a direct connection, but they put me in touch with this person, and I was really excited. And then he began to read off the requirements, and it was a minimum of 2 years of being a notary. Of course, I didn't meet that standard, and they wanted E&O insurance, which is your errors and your omission insurance, to be up to $1 million. And all those things, you know, are fine, but I didn't even meet the minimum requirement. So even if I was insured properly and did the certain amount of closings that they were looking for, I did not meet their threshold. So I was not able to work with that company. But that just goes to show you that they're looking for experienced notaries, and other companies may have the same parameters, right? It may be 2 years, it may be 1 year. You never know. You may find some that don't even require any sort of minimum like time that you've been commissioned, and those are awesome. But for the most part, title companies want to make sure that you know what the heck you are doing. So that was my first encounter. Now, going backward into actually getting these contracts, I walked into the office, of course, with treats and snacks and gifts. I did that because I understand that I had to separate myself from other notaries. And finding title companies is not hard, right? Like, I literally did a Google search of title companies and escrow officers in my area. I looked up closing agents in my area, and I literally started from there, right? I was introduced to one title officer directly. The others, I really just did my own research. It took me about 20 minutes, and I sat down on Google, compiled a list of title companies, where they were located, and I started from there. What I found was it's easy to take the easy way out, right? And that's an email. It's easy to write an email introducing yourself and etc. And that's all fine, but as we shift back to in-person things, people want to talk to you and meet you. Just like your inbox is flooded, their inboxes are flooded too. And they're working with clients who have high demands and needs throughout the entire closing process. So they're checking hundreds and hundreds of email a day. They probably won't get to yours. But what can be awesome is sending an email and then going directly into their office. And that was the part that I was most nervous about. I'm not a nervous person, but I don't know, for some reason it just made me a little bit uncomfortable, and that's because of the whole selling yourself piece. I've never been good at selling myself. I've never been good at talking about myself. And I shouldn't say I've never been good at it, I just always have felt really uncomfortable with having to talk about myself for a long period of time. So that made me apprehensive and nervous. But that day, and I marked it on my calendar, I woke up and I knew at minimum I was going to go to 2 title companies and sell myself and sell my service, because I've been working hard. I know what I'm doing. I need to step my game up and work directly with title companies. So that's exactly what I did. I got up that day. I pre-made my goodie bags. In my goodie bags, I brought like these dollar store bags. I can actually show you guys what I brought. In my gift bags, I have these little cute gift bags that I use, that I've used before, and people tend to love them. And I'm going to fill them with some goodies. So I have some cleaning wipes that I use. And I'm sorry this video is so fast, but some hand sanitizing wipes, Advils. I got some good chocolates, some knits, of course, and then some Weathers Originals. And then in these, I will put in my business cards. And all really inexpensive things that were good quality, but still inexpensive things that someone will remember me by. So even if they don't tell me yes on the spot, my goodie bag is still sitting on their desk, right? So it all is incorporated in the way you market yourself and how you separate yourself from other notaries. Now, the first title company I went to, whew, it was rough. And I was nervous, but I talked to myself and I got the confidence to walk in there. And I was not received well, excuse me, at all. It was very awkward. It was very uncomfortable. And I was standing at the door for about 5 minutes. Granted, everything is sort of shifting back to in person, so you're able to go into these spaces, unlike before where it was a little bit more difficult to get in front of people. So I went into this title company, and they saw me, and I saw them, and of course I greeted them and said hello, but there was just some awkwardness about the whole encounter and interaction, and immediately it didn't make me uncomfortable. It actually made me feel like, wow, if I was a client, I would not want to work with this title agency. And that's also something to remember as well. Like, it's a two-way street. You are giving a service, right? They need you just like you need them. So if you feel like the vibe is not right, if you feel like something is off, if you're not getting a good vibe from that company, it's okay to walk away, because more than likely, you're going to have day-to-day interactions with them depending on the volume of work that you're getting. You don't want to be treated poorly. You don't want to have issues with being paid. You don't want to have issues with clients having bad experiences and then them taking that out on you because they think you're a part of the whole company itself, when you're really just a notary and you're the signing agent there to do one thing and one thing only. The client doesn't know that. They see you as an extension of the title company, so it could be really hard for them to separate their feelings from their experience as they're sitting in front of you. So all that comes with just added frustration, right? And you still could get paid, but who wants to deal with all that? So that's also something to keep in mind as you are networking as well. Like, you are deserving, right, of being a loan signing agent. You are deserving of working with a company who values and appreciates you. So don't always feel like you have to take whatever because, this is your big break, right? There are multiple title companies. There are other agencies, other chances to network. If you don't feel right about something, it's okay for you to walk away. You do have that right. So my first experience there, I just was like, whoo, this was a lot. And, I still left my business cards, but I did not give them any goodie bags because I wanted to save my goodie bags for one. And for two, I didn't feel that it was valuable to do that just based on the interaction. So I left them a few business cards, and I just said, have a good day. Of course, I introduced myself and said if they had any closings, just to let me know. But it was really short and sweet, and it was almost like, oh, I just stopped in, thank you for your time, sort of deal. And I walked out, and I breathed, and I said, whew, well, it can't get any worse than that. I'm ready for the next one. So I'm kind of glad that that was my first encounter, because it made my skin tougher, it made my skin thick, and it just made me realize how valuable I am as a loan signing agent and what I can offer. So I could have easily stopped there. I could have easily said, all right, I'm done for the day, that was a lot. But no, that just made me more hungrier to keep going. So the second agency I went to, complete different experience. I mean, awesome. I was welcomed as soon as I walked in. They wanted to know more about me, how many closings I did, etc. It was just a better vibe and a better experience. And I knew at that moment that I wanted to work with them alongside them to do closings. So that was the second agency of the day. I told you I gave myself two. So that was my second title company that I networked with in that day. And I actually do closings for them now, which is awesome. And I get paid on time, which is awesome. I give you my experience because everyone's going to have a different experience. when going Escrow Direct. Like, that's really making a big chunk, right? The benefits of working directly with escrow and title companies, and I say those names interchangeably, is that you get paid more. Period. You get paid more, right? You get money directly. They directly send you a check. And depending on what their pay cycle is, you could get paid every 2 weeks. You could get paid once a month. The 2 title companies that I work for, I get paid at the end of every month, which is standard with most signing companies. But when you're working directly with title companies, you're cutting out the middleman. You're getting the full profit. If it's a purchase and it's $175, you're getting $175, right? You're not walking away with just $90 because the signing service took their fee and there was a fee given this way. Like, you're not even seeing the full benefit of what your service really is when you're working with signing companies, because they just have to take their portion of the deal. And you know, that's totally fine, and I still work with signing companies to this day alongside title companies. But if I had to choose, of course, I would go Escrow Direct any day. I want that whole $175, right? Like, I want everything that I deserve. So payment is definitely better, and it's faster. It's more, and it's faster. And the other huge perk for me is that I don't print documents. You don't print documents when you work with title agencies and title companies. The documents are already prepared for you. So I can't say that for every single title company, but I know for the ones that I work with, and primarily a bunch of title agencies, at least in Jersey, that I can speak for, you don't need to print your own documents. They have office managers or the title agents themselves to prep those for you. All you're doing is picking them up and dropping them back off. So now you're cutting down on your printing costs. Now you're saving time. And you have access to their office supplies and materials. So if they did say, hey, these have to be scanned back in, just come back to our office. We have a scanner. Boom, done and easy. You don't have to drop documents off. You drop them back off at the title agency or title company, unless instructed otherwise. Saving costs on toner, printing, on toner and paper itself is like, whew, I love it. That is the biggest difference for me, in my experience, from signing companies and title companies. That is a huge relief. They also take care of the bulk of the conversation with the clients. There's no need to confirm, at least in my experience, because the closing is more than likely happening at another title agency or a law firm. And that is the big difference for me, which I found out when I did my first closing, is that New Jersey is not an attorney state, so attorneys aren't present at the closing tables. But when I started working with title companies, I had a lawyer present, and it was very different. I wasn't nervous, it was just very different. It threw me off a little bit because, of course, you have your spiel that you go into when you're about to execute a signing, but the lawyer was there and went first. So it didn't make sense for me to go into my intro spiel after the lawyer already started introducing and speaking about some of the documents that may have had, that the clients may have had questions about. So it just kind of threw me off a little bit because I've been so regimented. But because I also have confidence in my abilities, I was able to just regain and just go with the flow and kind of wing it and keep going. So that is the only difference for me that kind of was like, oh, I didn't really consider that, was that an attorney or their lawyer will definitely be present throughout the process. And it really is a resource too, in case they have questions that you can't answer. It is helpful, especially if they're having a good experience with that title agency and with their lawyer. Like, everyone is kind of in a good mood and they just kind of want to sign and get out of there and really close the deal. So I say all that to say, being ready is really important. Don't feel rushed to work with title companies when you are not ready, because all you're going to do is put extra stress on yourself, and you're going to potentially burn bridges if you're making mistakes that cannot afford to be made at this late in the game, right? Working with signing companies I wouldn't say they're more forgiving, but there are multiple signing companies that you can work for. If you make a mistake, they'll contact you, you can go fix it, and chances are they'll probably use you again depending on how well you recovered with the mistake. Working with title companies, there's just more at stake, and I'm not saying they expect perfection, but they expect for you to be sort of an expert in that field. And yeah, they understand you're human and you may make a mistake, and they could be forgiving as well, but could be less forgiving depending on the level of mistake that you made. So you just really want to be confident in your abilities when you are working with title companies, and leave little room for error, because it's a new relationship, and you kind of just want to, you know, make sure that you've developed enough rapport with people that they can give you the benefit of the doubt at least. So yeah, making sure you're ready is really important. The second tip that I have for you all is having everything with you that verifies your commission. And this may be common sense, and others are probably like, yeah, of course I had my, you know, my E&O insurance on me, my commission on me, but I don't carry those things around. Like, I don't carry around my commission. It's the paper commission, because it's filed away safely in my home, because it's something that I don't want to lose. I can't make a copy of that. It's an original copy, so I don't carry that around with me. I was surprised that they wanted to see that, but it kind of makes sense. Like, I need to verify that you are a loan signing agent, so I need to see your commission. I just thought a JPEG of it or that in an email would suffice, but it didn't. So just make sure you have your E&O insurance on you handy. You have your commission on you handy, your W-9 on you handy, so they can put you on the payroll essentially and confirm your social and use you as a contractor. Whatever they need, whatever signing companies needed from you when you started as a loan signing agent, just make sure you have all those things in hard copies with you. So if someone tells you yes on the spot, you know exactly the information to give them. The third tip that I want to preface is know your prices. Know your prices. They are going to ask you what your prices are, and you can either be firm in those prices and give a number and they go with it, or you can sound unsure and unconfident and they say, well, we only paid this amount. Is that okay? No, do not do that. Do not be flexible if you don't need to, especially if you're going to be lowballed, right? Like, prices for signing services and prices for going to Escrow Direct are really, really different. Do your research so you are not lowballing yourself. You don't want to say, oh yeah, I'll do $60 for a refinance. You're like, what? That makes no sense. That's less than what most signing companies pay for a refinance. So always do your research and just kind of know what the price range is and what you're willing to accept and what you're not. And be confident when you're saying those things. Because if I'm telling you that I want $160 for refinances, the way I'm saying it leaves very little room for interpretation. And that may be within their range of what they can pay you. But if you say it really unconfidently, like 160, they're like, well, we only do 120. Is that okay? When really they can do 160, but you just weren't firm enough in your prices and it left room for interpretation. Knowing your prices, knowing your worth is super important. And I'm not saying don't be flexible. If they're saying they can only pay you $100 or $130, ask more questions. Ask what is the max amount that they've paid in the past, or what they'll be willing to, if there are increases down the line, if there are any other perks that can go along with that. Like, okay, you're only paying $100. Is it okay if I use your scanner or your copier? Or if they're asking you to print documents themselves, ask if they can print them for you. So just try and, you know, tap into your inner car salesman and understand the value of that. But also don't get hung up on the numbers, right? Like, sometimes $100 is not worth the relationship that's long term, and it's going to give you thousands of dollars. So it's always about finding that common ground and leveling, while also understand what you're worth and what the numbers are. Numbers don't lie at the end of the day. So do your research on the numbers. I am thoroughly enjoying going Escrow Direct. My first signing, was a purchase, and I got paid the following week $175, all of which was mine. I did not have to split it with anybody. There was no fee. I went to a law firm, executed the documents, dropped that packet off, and that was the end of it. It was no scan backs. I didn't have to fax or mail anything. That was it. I am thoroughly enjoying that experience because it takes so much off of you. It takes the load off of you to really just do what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to notarize documents. That's it. That is your role. You are notarizing documents. And when you're working with title companies, it just makes it more easier to do that. So if you are thinking about going Escrow Direct, I encourage you to really take heed of the 3 tips that I mentioned. And the first is really important. It's just knowing when you're ready. Don't be afraid, right? Like if you feel comfortable in signings, ask yourself if you're ready and be honest with yourself. If the answer is yes, then go for it. If the answer is no, okay, then get more practice. But don't just sell yourself short and say, I'm not ready, when you really, really are. And I can see how that is an easy thing to do. I can also see an easy thing to do is say, I don't know how to market myself. We all have computers. We all have laptops. We all have access to the internet on our phones or wherever. And a simple Google search, right, is how you can get started. Asking questions, being creative, having something that sets you apart from other notaries. If you're bilingual, absolutely say that. If you have a hidden talent or a hidden gift that is going to contribute positively to you being a loan signing agent or someone wanting to work with you, highlight those things. Don't be shy. Don't sell yourself short. This is a time to sell yourself, especially when you're working with title companies. So that is my experience and my advice so far. I will keep you guys posted on if those things change or if other tips that I find are becoming more and more helpful. That's all I have for y'all today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Keep leaving comments and likes. And also follow me on Instagram. I'm definitely going to be using Instagram more. And a lot of you guys have been sliding in my DMs. And I'm going to start dropping more posts and everything on there too. So, yes. Follow me. Until next time. SM, the Mobile Notary, out.